This is Grandmaster Reginald Stroud Sr., also known as Brother Teacher. Question: is the style greater than the person, or the person than the style? I would tend to believe that the person has to be greater than the style, martial arts style that is, or system, because the style cannot dictate what the limitations of the person are. If I was missing an arm, could I study with you in your respective style? If I was blind in both eyes, could I study with you in your specific style? If I had no arms, would that stop me from learning your particular style or system? Herein lies the rub. It is the person that makes the system, not the system that makes the person. Even though the system was based on certain prerequisites, if you will, and it has a foundation, would you deny any human being that walked into your door the ability to learn what your respective style or system is based on their limitations or their handicaps? So many schools have done that. If I can't kick and I come to a taekwondo school, should I be turned away? And if I can't punch and I have to use primarily of my legs, should I be turned away from a traditional karate school? That's something to think about. I hope that just those simple statements and questions that I've just posed to you are a way of you probably reconsidering what your system is based on. Is it based on preserving and keeping just the system itself alive as it has existed for years, thousands of years, or hundreds of years? Or is it based on whatever that particular circumstance is when that individual walks into your dojang, your kun, or your dojo, their limitations that particular day, we will adapt to what your situation is. That's what it should be. My system, Jinen-Do, Jinin is Japanese, means very natural, and Do, of course, is way. Very natural way. And it is predicated on teaching the student to develop what they have and what their ability is. In other words, we teach you to conform within your own strengths and not to try to make you into our model of what you should be. Real simple. Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do, way of the intercepting fist to feet. My system is similar, but it takes it a little step further. If I'm missing an eye and you walk to me, to my school, or you are, I should say, if you're missing an eye and you come to my school, I'm not going to turn you away because you're blind in one eye. I'm not going to turn you away if you're missing an arm. I'm going to teach you to be the best you that you can possibly be. We as martial arts instructors, masters, and grandmasters should take that into thought and consideration, that we are there to serve the individual coming in and try to make them feel comfortable and make them belong. I mean, whatever sparked their imagination or thought process to come to your school in the first place, apparently they need you or think they did. So when the next person comes to your school and they have a limitation, even if they have autism, even if they have attention deficit disorder, don't turn them away. Because that is when the challenge begins, not so much for them, but for you. Very natural way is my system. I have students that are a little heavy, some that are short, tall, in between, some that have mental disabilities and so forth. I don't turn them away. You know why? That's not the very natural way. So you instructors, while you're out there, let's also take into consideration to not be so caught up in your title. I'm Grandmaster Reginald Stroud Sr., by the way. And I have no particular things to prove, and I'm not trying to put myself on a certain pedestal and so forth. I'd be glad and happy if you call me brother teacher. I'm okay with that. But there are some of us that they will call you on the carpet if you call them out of their title. I've heard individuals in time past before, someone called them master and they say, excuse me, it's grandmaster. And they were a little arrogant in their response. There was no humility there at all. And I've seen guys that were black belts the last time I saw them, and I call them sensei or whatever. Oh, excuse me, it's master. And I've seen people who don't want to participate in any capacity that they feel that belittles their grade. That's unfortunate, because that is not what we should be teaching our underlings. We should be teaching our underlings, our pupils, humility, respect, honor, charity, protocol, procedure. And that definitely does not fit the bill. We are supposed to be the beacon that our students look up to. We're supposed to be the prime example of what a martial arts practitioner should be, and a person who's always seeking excellence. But anytime you behave as a child, you probably are. I see guys running to the print shop trying to put master so-and-so on their belt once they get promoted. They're in a hurry, such a hurry. It takes a lot to be a master. And that's not something that you should be seeking. Because if you stay diligent and if you keep pushing, you will eventually make it. But don't seek it out, because it will indeed elude you. But if that is your only purpose, you need to rethink your purpose. Your purpose is to develop character, and that's your character. So that the young minds that come in behind you, that are influenced by you, would have that same or similar character. So that we have a homogeneous environment and community of people that love each other and care about each other. That's the way it's supposed to be. Irrespective of what your style or your system is, you should not be any better than I am. We're not in feudal Japan anymore, or in the Ming Dynasty, or the Qing Dynasty anymore. We're in modern day America. So many of us are fighting against each other because we're different. My system, Jinen-Do, was created by me in 1989. It belongs to me. It is licensed to me. But yet there are some people, just like Bruce Lee went through the same thing. Jinen-Do was different than a traditionalist, if you will. Got upset with him thinking he was changing something. But it so happens that today he's the most celebrated martial arts instructor in the entire world. He must have had something. My system, Jinen-Do, belongs to me. Ron Van Cleef has a system that belongs to him. Ed Parker Sr. had a system that belonged to him. And so many other instructors have had systems that belong to them. So it might be similar. I might have some tenets of Wing Chun, some tenets of Zui Quan, some tenets of Korean martial arts, some tenets of Japanese martial arts or Jiu-Jitsu in my system. But it doesn't make it Jiu-Jitsu. It doesn't make it Wing Chun. Because it takes a lifetime to learn any one particular art, with all of the things that come along with that, to include the history. Jinen-Do has his own history. My methodology is my own. I have my own forms. I am its master. So while we're standing in the corner somewhere whispering to people who are like-minded, like yourself, pointing the finger at somebody that had the audacity in your mind to create something new. It's not really new. The methodology is just different. Because there's nothing new. And if you really go back in the day when the Japanese masters and the Korean and the Okinawan masters and the Chinese masters were around each other, they traveled. They shared things with one another. It doesn't mean that one person is greater than the next. No. They still kept their identity. I've learned from a lot of people, and I'm still a student, and you should be as well. Martial arts is never ending until the day you can no longer perform it. When you close your eyes for the last time in your life, that is when it ends. But the next generation picks it up. The most important thing is what you leave behind, not what you take with you. So all of the trophies that you win in the tournaments and all of the accolades and all of those types of awards that you receive on this side, that's wonderful. But what did you leave behind that someone can actually use? Let it not be your attitude of dissension. Let it not be the fact that you hated an instructor because they were not like you, or that they actually carried on the tradition of what martial arts should really be, that there was an instructor that didn't smoke cigarettes and smoke marijuana and drink alcohol and hang out in clubs and things like that. Let it not be that reason for why you didn't live an honorable life. You see, there are true martial artists. And I can say this to my shame, I'm a human being. But I don't do any of the above things that I just mentioned. And I have been doing this since the age of 10. I love what I do. I am a martial artist through and through. I'm a historian on some level. So the gist of this whole video is simply this. Consider yourself before you start pointing the finger at someone else. Because you truly do know what a martial artist is supposed to be, but a lot of us are not willing to do what it takes to be a true martial artist. True martial arts masters, and I start at that level, they don't talk about other people. They don't stand in corners and whisper derogatory statements and try to demean and discredit another instructor. They don't go out to parties and meetings and luncheons and dinners at restaurants and talk about other instructors. They don't do that. Now, if you hear the words of my mouth and you find yourself amongst those types of individuals, and they say something derogatory or negative or demeaning about an instructor that you're familiar with or no, and you don't stand up and speak and say something about it, and you know that an instructor is not like that, then you're just like them. Because quiet acquiescence is the same as being a part of what's going on. You're guilty by association. And if you don't have the nerve or the gall or the intestinal fortitude to speak up and be a man or a woman and tell someone that you're out of place talking about that instructor, and I don't want to hear it, you're just as guilty as that individual is. And if you cannot back away from that situation, even if it means that you lose that so-called friend, you really need to go back to the drawing board and find out what you are made of. And it might not be very much at all. It's a shame to live almost a lifetime studying something that's predicated on honor, respect, dignity, integrity, and you don't maintain it. At some point, you lost it, but I'd venture to say that you never had it in the first place. This is Grandmaster Reginald Strauss Sr., founder of the Jinen-Do martial arts system, also known as Brother Teacher. I'll see you on the other side. I love you, and Yah loves you. So long.